Hey, what's going on? It's Jesse. Thank you for joining me in my quick little training here on the most effective nutrition plan to drop body fat for guys who are over 30 years old. And by over 30 years old, what I really mean is somebody who maybe has some more responsibilities, maybe is in the prime of their working career, has a demanding job, or just has a busy schedule. So ideally, I mean, that could be someone who's 25 or 29 or 45 or 50, but it's really meant for somebody who doesn't have unlimited time to spend preparing meals or spend training at the gym, but more of a flexible, lifestyle-based nutrition strategy. And before I get into the actual training, I do want to just put this out there that there's no diet or nutrition plan that is just factually the best diet, right? And if anyone tells you otherwise, they're just bullshitting you, right? So if you're here to find, the answer, the diet that's gonna, give you the best results, like, there's no secrets when it comes to this stuff. So I just wanted to make that clear at the very beginning. I do want to help you lose body fat in the easiest and most sustainable way possible, but there's not one diet that is just factually better than the others. And the truth is that the most effective nutrition plan that's going to help you drop body fat could be different for various different people, and it's honestly the one that fits best with your personal schedule and your lifestyle. So if you're somebody who is going out for drinks and meeting up with friends and going out to eat, every weekend, maybe 3-4 times a week, and you have a kind of a nightlife type lifestyle, the most effective nutrition plan that's going to work best for you to help you drop body fat is going to be different compared to the person who is very career focused, isn't spending, late nights out, is working maybe 8 a.m. to 7 or 8 or 9 p.m. and they need to save a whole lot of time in their nutrition, and they need to have foods that are going to keep them energized. So those two people are going to have different lifestyles and different schedules, and they're going to have to use different nutrition strategies. So what works for person A is going to be probably different than what works for person B. So the most effective nutrition strategy has to be tailored to what you're capable of doing, what your preferences are, and what your lifestyle is like. And what I'm going to do is go over a handful of different nutrition strategies that I find work most frequently with the majority of people that I use them with. So I'm going to cover a few of those, and you can kind of decipher which one you feel might be best suited for your lifestyle and your preferences and your schedule. But one thing that is factual is that you pretty much need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose body fat. So that means that you need to be burning more calories consistently, whether it's day by day or week by week, than you actually take in through eating food. So the real question is, which nutrition strategy or nutrition plan can you follow every single day for 6 months or a year or 5 years or forever that allows you to stay in a calorie deficit pretty consistently, right? You're not always going to be in a calorie deficit, but for a long time you might be if you're trying to consistently lose body fat, lose some weight. So which strategy can you eat in a calorie deficit without it really being super difficult and, going against the grain of your lifestyle and your schedule, and which one fits into your day-to-day life most optimally? So the first strategy I'm going to go over with you is one that I use very frequently with my clients, and I've used myself for a long period of time as well, and it's called intermittent fasting. So you may have heard of this. It is pretty much skipping breakfast and pushing off your first meal until anywhere from, typically it's around noon time, anywhere from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I would say. So you have your lunchtime meal as your first meal, and you don't eat anything before that except for liquids. So you can have water, sparkling water, coffee or tea before that to kind of keep you satisfied before that first meal. And for people who are used to eating breakfast, this is a bit of an adjustment, but your body tends to adjust to it after even just a week or a couple weeks of doing it. Your body seems to adjust to it, and pretty much there's an eating window that you have your meals within. So that first meal is around lunchtime. Your second meal typically is anywhere from 4 to 8 hours later. And most people have an eating window of that kind of 4 to 8 hour range. And this is a popular strategy because it allows people to eat nice, big, satisfying meals in the normal hours of the day, right? You're having your lunch, you're having your dinner, you're probably having a snack or so in between. And you can have nice, big, satisfying meals because you're pretty much skipping a meal in the day. And I find a lot of people don't have breakfast anyway, or they kind of have a non-nutritious breakfast, as they're hurrying up to go to work, and maybe they'll grab like some cereal or some toast or something that's not very, nutritious anyway. So this has been something that I find fits into a lot of people's schedules who are busy, people who have a lot going on, and they don't have a whole lot of hours to spend meal prepping, right? So the guys who I use this with pretty much prepare one meal every day, and that's their lunchtime meal. Then they come home and they have dinner. So it's very time efficient. It doesn't require a lot of meal prep at all. Still allows you to live in the lifestyle of, having a nice satisfying lunch, a nice big satisfying dinner. And that's why I find that it works for so many people. I'd say 80 to 90% of people that I try this with, it works very, very effectively for them to drop body fat and to lose weight. So that's the first one that you can consider if maybe you're short on time, or maybe you are someone who likes to eat nice, big, satisfying meals. A second nutrition strategy that I use myself and that I often recommend to others is tracking your macros. So your macros it's short for macronutrients. So your macronutrients are your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. So pretty much you would be tracking throughout the day the meals that you eat and the food that you eat. I typically will use the app called MyFitnessPal to track these things because it makes it super simple to track the food that you eat. You can even take a picture of the barcode of anything that you eat, and it scans the nutrition information right into the app, so that at the end of the day you can see collectively how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats you've eaten. So this is a very calculated and in-depth approach to take, right? So it's a little bit more time consuming than intermittent fasting because you're taking 10-15 seconds each time you eat to enter that information and that meal into your phone. Not a whole lot to ask, but again, it is a little bit more obsessive than the intermittent fasting because you have to be aware of everything you're eating, and if you know how much you're eating, as far as your protein, carbs, fats, and then your overall calories, you can very clearly understand why you are or are not losing weight or losing body fat, because either a coach will be able to tell you based on how much you're eating, or you can kind of do that research on your own and understand that I'm having this many calories, or maybe most of my nutrition's coming from carbs. It would be easier and I'd be able to stay more full if I was to add in some more proteins and some fats and kind of allocate my macronutrients a bit differently. So this approach is pretty much guaranteed to help you see results. It's just for people who are willing to go a little bit above and beyond by tracking the food that they eat. And I recommend doing this even if it's not long term. I recommend tracking everything that you eat in MyFitnessPal for at least a month, I'd say 30 days. And what you'll find is you learn so much about nutrition, about the foods that you eat, that you're gonna have knowledge that you couldn't have gotten from many courses that you can then pass on to your kids, your family, and just have knowledge, honestly, for the rest of your life that you'll be able to actually use and better decide on what foods are going to be beneficial to your goals. So these are the two nutrition strategies that I find work most commonly and that I personally recommend, and those are the two that I use personally as well, so I may be a little bit biased in that regard. However, they're not the only way to see results, right? So there's plenty of other options. You could take the small portioned healthy meal approach, eating more frequently every 2 or 3 hours, right? So that's an approach that I've tried in the past that is probably the most popular in the industry. People tell you to prepare your meals and eat every 2 or 3 hours, like a small portion meal. Now this didn't work for me because I'm a busy guy. I have a busy schedule, and if I'm eating 5 meals a day or 6, 7 meals a day, that takes meal prep that's hours and hours long. You're preparing 30 meals for the entire week. I didn't have the time for that. If you have the time for that and that works for you and you can keep that up for a year, 2 years, 5 years, then absolutely do that. There's people that works for. But just keep in mind that if you can't keep up a nutrition strategy and stick to it every single day, 7 days a week, for at least a year, then it's only a temporary solution. And it's not even a solution. It's kind of like a Band-Aid. It's a temporary result, and it's not a real solution that's going to give you progress that you're going to be able to sustain. But some other very popular nutrition strategies include that small portion meal, frequent eating every 2-3 hours. They also include the ketogenic diet, which is mainly a proteins and fat-based diet where you're really not having any carbs at all. Again, this is not a strategy that I personally enjoy because I like eating carbs, but a lot of people do like it, and a lot of people do feel better when they eliminate carbs from their diet. One thing I do notice, though, when people say that they're eliminating all carbs and going keto, is that they're not aware of which foods actually have carbs in them. So they're eating, fruit smoothies and fruits and vegetables and oats. These are all, straight carb sources, right? Fruit is 100% carbs and sugars, right? Vegetables, although they're healthy and they have micronutrients, they're all carbs. Oats are straight carbs. So if you are going to do the ketogenic diet or give it a try, at least do some research into what foods include carbs and make sure that they are not in your diet at all. So if you'd like to give one of these strategies a try and you'd like some help, I'm here to help. I'd be happy to point you in the right direction. If you'd like to try out the intermittent fasting strategy that I was telling you about, I have a very particular way that I teach it to my clients and that I follow it myself. And I have a little kind of guideline spreadsheet that I can send you. So I'll list it below if you'd like to check that out. Also, what I would recommend doing if you want to try tracking your macros is to download the app MyFitnessPal. It's a free app, and just start tracking everything you eat. Not, eating any differently than you normally do, or not aiming for a certain amount of calories or a certain amount of proteins, carbs, or fats yet. I would just eat how you've been eating, track every single thing that you eat into MyFitnessPal, and after 7 days, see what you're averaging as far as your proteins each day, your carbs, your fats each day. See what kind of range you land in and what your average is each day. And from there, you can easily determine what adjustments you might need to make as far as making progress towards whether it's fat loss or weight loss or building some lean muscle. So I would recommend doing that right after watching this video, and you'll learn so much about nutrition and about your own habits just from doing that. And if you're somebody who is very serious about dropping some body fat, maybe losing some weight and building a better physique and getting leaner, I'd be happy to give you 30 minutes of my time to help you construct a real nutrition strategy that makes sense for you and your body and your goals, and pairing it with the proper training program as well. So if you'd like to do that, I'd invite you to schedule a transformation call with me below. Be happy to give you 30 minutes to help you set up that game plan and make sure that you can pretty much guarantee progress and fat loss going into the upcoming weeks and months. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to chatting with you, and I will see you on the next video.